The rain hammered against the observation deck of Station Kepler 22, each drop a small percussion against the reinforced glass. Rhea stood there, her breath fogging the window as she watched the rescue shuttles dock one by one. The Valorian evacuation had been chaos incarnate, a species fleeing their dying homeworld, desperate and afraid. She had volunteered immediately when the Galactic Council put out the call. Humans always did. It was their peculiar gift, their strange compulsion to help even when logic screamed otherwise. The other species had sent supplies, ships, resources. Humans had sent themselves. "You should rest, Ambassador Rhea," came a chittering voice behind her. Cash, the station's Arachnus coordinator, approached on 6 delicate legs. "You've been processing refugees for 18 cycles straight. I'll rest when they're all safe," Rhea replied, not turning from the window. Her eyes tracked another shuttle, its hull scorched from atmospheric escape. "How many souls aboard? 50? 100? Kash's mandibles clicked in what might have been concern or disapproval. "The human capacity for self-destruction in service of others never ceases to perplex me." Rhea smiled tiredly. "We're complicated like that." The Arachnus departed, leaving Rhea alone with her thoughts and the rain. Below, in the processing halls, thousands of Valorians waited tall, looping beings with silver fur and amber eyes that held too much fear. They had lost everything. Their sun had entered its death throes ahead of all predictions, and their people had scattered to the stars like leaves before a storm. Her communicator chirped. "Ambassador, we have a situation in Processing Bay 7. Your presence is requested." Rhea pushed off from the window, her boots clicking against the metal floor as she made her way through the winding corridors of the station. Processing Bay 7 was in the lower decks, where they'd housed the late arrivals, the ones who'd almost not made it. The bay doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. Inside, a small crowd had gathered, their voices a mixture of Valorian growls and concerned murmurs. Rhea pushed through gently, her diplomatic training keeping her movements non-threatening despite her urgency. At the center of the crowd sat a small figure. A cub. Rhea's heart clenched. The little Valorian couldn't have been more than 6 cycles old, equivalent to a human 7-year-old. His fur was matted and dull, patches missing from what Rhea recognized as stress shedding. His amber eyes were red-rimmed and haunted. He clutched a torn piece of cloth that might have once been a blanket. "What's the situation?" Rhea asked quietly, kneeling a respectful distance away. A Valorian elder, his muzzle gray with age, stepped forward. "The cub's family, they didn't make the evacuation." He was pushed onto a shuttle by a stranger. "We've been trying to find someone to take him," double quotes, the elder's ears flattened. "Our people are scattered. Everyone has lost someone. No one has the resources to take on another mouth to feed, another soul to protect." "I see." Rhea studied the cub Nico, according to the identification band on his small wrist. He stared at the floor, his small body trembling. "We were hoping," the elder continued, his voice dropping, "that perhaps one of the human aid workers. You understand, children, we've heard. Your species has a reputation for double quotes, for adopting strays?" Rhea supplied, but there was no bitterness in her voice. Just understanding. The elder's ears perked slightly. "For boundless compassion, yes." Rhea moved closer to Nico, slowly, telegraphing her movements. She'd worked with Valorians before, knew their body language, their social cues. The cub didn't look up. "Nico," she said softly, "my name is Rhea, nothing." Just the slight hitch in his breathing that suggested he was holding back tears. "I know you've been through something terrible," Rhea continued, settling cross-legged on the cold floor. Around them, the crowd began to disperse, sensing this was a private moment. "I know you've lost everything, your home, your family." "Your entire world," a small sound escaped Nico, a whimper that cut through Rhea's chest like a blade. "I know what the others have been saying," Rhea went on, her voice steady despite the lump forming in her throat. "I know you've heard it. The whispers, the refusals, the turnbacks." Nico's small claws dug into his tattered blanket. "Nobody wants me," he whispered, his voice breaking on each word. Tears began to fall, dampening the silver fur of his cheeks. "Nobody wants me. I'm alone. I'm nothing." Rhea felt something crack inside her chest, that part of her that had always been too soft, too open, too human. She reached out slowly, giving Nico every chance to pull away, and placed her hand gently on his small shoulder. "I do," she said simply. Nico's head snapped up, amber eyes meeting her brown ones for the first time. Confusion warred with desperate hope across his young features. What? I want you, Nico. Ria's voice was firm now, certain. I always have. From the moment I saw you sitting here, alone and afraid. From the moment I heard your story. She squeezed his shoulder gently. You're not nothing, you're a survivor. You're brave, you're here, and that matters. You matter. But I'm Valorian. You're human. We're not even the same species. Ria smiled, and it was the first genuine smile she'd managed in days. On my world, we have a saying, family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who show up when no one else will. She held out her hand, palm up, an offering. I'm showing up, Nico. If you'll have me, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. For a long moment, Nico just stared at her hand. Ria could see the war playing out behind his eyes, the fear of trusting again, the desperate need for connection, the raw vulnerability of a child who'd lost everything. Then slowly, Nico placed his small clawed hand in hers. The dam broke. The cub launched himself forward, burying his face in Ria's shoulder as sobs racked his small frame. She caught him instinctively, wrapping her arms around him and holding tight. Around them, she was vaguely aware of the Valorian elder watching with ears pricked forward in approval, of Cash returning with documentation tablets, of the machinery of bureaucracy beginning to turn. But all that mattered was the small life in her arms, the weight of trust given, the responsibility accepted. I've got you, Ria murmured into Nico's fur. I've got you, and I'm not letting go. Outside, the rain continued to fall against the station's hull. But inside Processing Bay 7, something new was beginning, a family forged not from biology but from choice, not from obligation but from love. It was the most human thing in the galaxy. And Nico, clutching his new mother like a lifeline, finally stopped weeping.